Hi everyone, it's been a while since my last video, but I have another saber hilt to show you today. This one has been a project in the making for quite a while now. I've had it for a while, I've only really just got around to making a video about it. This started off life as a Master Replicas Darth Vader A New Hope lightsaber. It originally had a string blade in it with LEDs. It was part of the Master Replicas range where the blades were not removable. They were just a display piece. You'd put them on a stand, you'd turn them on, they'd have the few swings and hums and clashes, and that was about it really. Definitely not for dueling, just an adult toy, if you will. And I bought the hilt from R2D2 by Eric. He was selling it through his Instagram, which I will leave a link to in the comments, in the description section of this video. He had a whole bunch of different lightsaber parts, Master Replicas bits, a couple of modular hilt system parts that he sold me in a big old collection, a big old bunch, which I have used. I've made a previous hilt out, a few videos prior to some of the parts that he sold me. Anyway, within what the collection of parts he was selling me was this Master Replica Vader. The blade, he had removed the blade, he did some rewiring to the electronics inside, so it just had a single LED and the sound board in it. Stripped it out, took it apart, removed all the electronics from it, and I sent it off to the US to a very talented saber smith who does fantastic electronic jobs and installs for all kinds of hilts, to Sabers Forever. I contacted him through his Instagram, which again I will also leave a link in the description of this video, and I sent it to him and he did an electronics install for it. He also installed a blade holder for your standard sort of dueling blades. We discussed different blade thicknesses, and I wanted a blade holder inside that could hold the standard Saberforge V2 dueling blades. Now this is not for dueling, it's I'll explain soon enough why it's not suitable for dueling, but it is suitable for flourishing and maybe very light dueling, but I mainly have this as a display piece. But before I get into all of that, I'll just show you the hilt and the insides out. So the standard Master Replicas Vader hilt, nothing much has changed on the exterior. However, Jonathan, or Sabers Forever, he, in his saber collection of parts, had a replica Highland clamp, which he very kindly installed onto this. The original Master Replicas one was just a hunk of plastic, basically. It wasn't a clamp in any shape or form, it just looked like a clamp. But this is an actual clamp with a working lever, which I will show shortly. Before I sent it to him, I did a bit of light weathering to it, to some of the metal here. This was just a clear coat enamel and some buffed up shoe polish, just to kind of create that a kind of worn effect. I wanted to give the effect that this saber has been around for a while, and through the early life of Darth Vader, from the point where Anakin to Darth Vader, he had this saber for around 2 decades. So I wanted it to look the part, like it had been owned and used quite a bit. Grips are the same, end cap and that. Anyway, Jonathan was really good enough to make the original switch on the Master Replicas into the activation for the new electronics. The nano biscotti inside, and we have the LEDs in the end, 2 reds and a white. This is for flash on clash. Anyway, let's get to the meat of it. After much discussion, we decided, because I wanted to, at some point, I will get round to it, I'd like to build a crystal chamber into the hilt. He wired in an external LED, so when I do eventually build in my crystal chamber, it will illuminate the crystal. Right, so to get to kill key, he cut it in half, as I said. So release the clamp and gently twist this open. And inside he built a chassis for me, and within that chassis is where I will eventually build a crystal chamber. He left me plenty of room to work with, and there is the LED that I mentioned, which will illuminate the crystal in my design when I eventually build it. Kill key is located there. Now before I pull it, I asked for 2 different fonts to be installed on this particular hilt. I wanted your standard sort of Darth Vader font. I believe it's from Empire Strikes Back, ripped from the movie itself, so they're all the genuine hums, clashes and swings from Empire Strikes Back. And I also had a second font installed on the card, on the SD card. I wanted Ruiner by Shamim. I wanted to go for a more deeper, bassier, kind of corrupted, more evil, if you will, sound to it, just as a secondary font, just for a bit of fun, really. So first of all, I'll boot it up, and I'll put the grip back on, so I can flourish it a little bit. Boot sound for the Vader font. The iconic breathing. Just slide this back on. There's a couple of screw holes there from the original clamp that helps with the alignment of the hilt when putting it back together. Clamp down like so. As I said earlier, activation switch is here. It's very loud, very bassy too. I won't shine the LEDs directly at the camera. You've got your swings, and also you have your white flash on clash with the clashes. And power down. Now, as I said, not for dueling. This is mainly because of the structure of it. Where it is cut here, it hasn't got any structural strength for any kind of dueling, particularly aggressive dueling. The blade fits very snugly in the end there, and there is a this here is the retention screw for the blade, but I found that the blade sits so snugly inside, and because I'm only flourishing the blade and not really whacking it against anything, I haven't actually found a need to tighten this screw yet, because I just want it as a display piece, and I'm not hitting it hard enough to do any damage to anything that I'm hitting it against or the saber itself. So just for display piece, nice and snug, no need to do that up, or I haven't found a reason to do that up. Anyway, second font, Ruiner by Shamim. If you haven't checked out Shamim's channel, I'll leave a link in the description as well, and you can see all of his projects and all of his fantastic fonts, which if you are aware of the saber community, I'm sure you would have seen his videos already. Anyway, second font, push down to change the font. Ruin a boot up sound. And this one is way more crackly, and if I shine it on the surface here, you can see the blade is Jonathan has set the settings so the blade flickers and is a lot more kind of aggressive. There's your swings and your clashes. This one's more akin to, say, Kylo Ren's sort of unstable lightsaber font. I don't really know why I decided to choose it. I think I wanted to be under the impression that maybe this saber was found after the destruction of the Death Star, and it would sound a little bit more kind of, you know, corrupted is the wrong word, but damaged. Maybe the crystal had been fractured by the huge explosion of the second Death Star, and someone found it, a dark side acolyte, someone who follows the dark side, found the saber, and that's what it sounds like now. That's just what I decided to go for. No, other than that, just for fun, I just change it back to the first font. Jonathan did a fantastic job on this. It is solid through and through. I only had to do some minor adjustments to this. I just had to glue this a little bit tighter in because with the Master Replica saber, the whole emitter is only held on by one screw, basically here. I just wanted to strengthen up the join by putting some Loctite in between the seams to make it a little bit stronger. Because when you are wiggling the blade in and out of the holder, it's putting pressure on this, or it's friction against this. So rather than putting any more pressure on the screw, it's now some adhesive down here to take the strain off of the screw. Not that it was really a problem anyway. As I said, fantastic job, and I really look forward to eventually building a crystal chamber into this, which will be great. I have a crystal already lined up, but I just need to source some parts and sort out the rest. So thank you for watching. If you'd like to see any more of my saber projects, any photos and stage by stage bits of my projects, check out my Instagram, and I'll leave a link to that in the description below. Thank you for watching.